take you back to when you were running appointment, actually to before you came to FFL. I want to
All
go
right.
there because a lot of people don't know that you had insurance experience before you came here. So
Mhm.
what attracted you to Family First Life? And what I say by that, but what were you missing that Family First Life provided? And I want you to answer it from from a recruiting standpoint, basically, because that's how you ended up here. And I want them to understand how to use that when they pick up the phone or when they talk to somebody that's already licensed, because a lot of these people are new or just getting started and shy away from because they're intimidated by that conversation.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the big thing is that when people are comfortable, like that thing, so for me, I was at a company for 19 years, guys. I was an agency owner. I did well there. I mean, by all standards, I mean, Wayne, being transparent. I mean, there was a daily record and I broke it. I mean, I had all these, of course, those were broken over time. I'm saying I always did good, like at whatever level I was at with them, building teams and all that stuff. And then I became an agency owner. And so the thing is, when you're talking to these other people, they're probably comfortable, right? They think like Wayne and I work together. He's my buddy, man. He's my brother. But then when I leave, he don't like me no more. Like I'm just saying, it's just, I mean, they don't like they didn't wish me well. Like nobody called me and said, "Hey, are you doing okay? Why'd you?" I mean, I did get a few, and I have some true friends there. I can't say that. But like Eric, who's with me, he knew I was leaving because I trusted him. Like he was one of two people that knew. That's it. I respected the culture so much and the friendships I thought I had to the point where it was detrimental to me. Right. So I think sometimes you're going to run into that where you're talking to somebody and you can't figure out why they won't leave. They're making 50, 60, 70%, 80, whatever, but you can give them, 100, 110, 120, depending on where you're at and what they look like. I'm just saying, whatever contract you can give them. Right. I think one thing I did learn, is once I had comp, I gave every bit of it away. I mean, I just did. 5%, man. I look, because here's the thing: if I'm having a conversation with you, why would I hold something? Because what happens is, guys, sometimes you do that, and guess what? You never get them. Why? Because it could have been another 5 or 10% gets them. I'm just saying. So if you get greedy with your comp, you're just like they are, right? Because remember, they're coming from a place where people are stealing their money. They're coming from a place where somebody's earning 20, 30, 40% off of them. And then you're going to do the same thing. Well, don't do that. That's not really our culture. Now, I'm not saying people haven't built a business doing that. I'm just saying that to do it the fast way or do it the way that I believe I've learned how to do it, which is just give it away, give it away, give it away. So I hope I answered your question. So here's the thing. I knocked on doors. There was things that you have to know about each company. So to look at what they do, COVID hurt them bad last year, a lot of them. So I would definitely talk about that. Like, how did it work out for you? Well, it was slow. Okay, great. So what keeps you there? I think I'd ask them that. It's like what keeps you there? Because see, I remember Andrew, when he called me, we talked. He told me the other day, by the way, Wayne, I about fainted when I found out this, but he said to me, he goes, I almost didn't get on that Zoom that day. And I said to him, man, I'm so glad you did, dude. But the honest truth is, I almost did the same thing. Like, how you just kind of, you're in this place like, yeah, this sounds good, but I really know about it. You're busy and you're doing whatever. I remember that kind of like, do I really want to? But I did. God,
Yeah.
I guess I prayed for an opportunity and was smart enough to listen. So anyway, when I listened, so here's the thing. I think they're blinded in some ways. Like they have blinders on too, because you got to remember over here, I'm blinded. I mean, I was over there for 19 years and wasn't looking anywhere else because I was all in. I'm a very committed guy. I stay 19 years, right? I remember Wayne, after the first month, another IMO tried to call me, tried to give me more comp, got me on the phone with the president of this IMO, which by the way, they're nothing, but I'm just saying they were, I look back, matter of fact, roll the clock forward a year later, the guy called me and asked us how we grew so fast. Think about that. But I said to him at the time, I'm honored by you having me on the call. And dude, I hadn't done anything. Like I just wrote some business. I wasn't even building yet. But I said, I'm with Andrew and Sean. I'm like, dude, I've been here a month and I love where I'm at, but I knew I could see it. Like I could see that they cared about me in enough way that I just believe, and I'm just like that. I'm loyal to you. That's just how I'm built. So I made that step away. That was the hardest part for me, Wayne, was thinking I had all these great friends that cared about my family. And the truth is they couldn't take care of my family. It was up to me to take care of my family.
Yeah.
And so I had to make that leap of faith, and thank goodness I did. So I hope that answers the question, but that's where I came from. I was beaten down. I wasn't making money. I could have had an ego and say, well, I'm doing okay. Or I could have just opened my head and just, which is what I did in my heart, and say, this is possible. I'm seeing the numbers. It's got to work. Why would these people be telling me that? And then, so my true test was, hey, I can do it myself. So I went out and ran the appointments, and we submitted 60K my first month, and issue paid 48. And guess what? When that month, $40,000 goes in your bank account or whatever it was, that's life changing, especially when I didn't have that coming in before.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, and I hope everybody caught it. One of the things that you said is that you were comfortable, and it was to your own detriment. And one of the things that I ask people a lot of times when I run into that, it's like, who? I mean, I get it. You like these people, but who are you more loyal to? Are you more loyal to them, or the woman that you lay beside at night, or the kids that are looking at you and depending on you to take care of them? And that's
Yeah.
really kind of the rub for me for them, is because I mean the answer is obvious. They're not going to make a decision that's going to put them or keep them in a position where they may not be taking care of their family on the level that they are. When I'm telling you that this is what this looks like, you can't be that comfortable. And it makes all the sense in the world when you present the opportunity to somebody. And you said that IMO called you a month later and you said, I'm with Sean and Andrew, and I love where I'm at. Aside from the money, the $40,000 that went into your bank account, and the $60,000 that you guys did as an agency, I'm guessing a lion's share that was you. What was it that you loved so much that a month in that made you say, yeah, this is it. I'm not looking or listening to anything else?
Because everything that Andrew had told me up to that point was true. Everything I heard Sean say was true. And it didn't take long to figure that out. So why would I leave when you tell me I can make this amount of money? You tell me if I, buy leads and I dial the phone, I'm going to make this kind of money. And I'm not, I mean, why would I go anywhere for 5 or 10% when the guys, I've already met these guys, they're, which I love both of them to death. Now, obviously it's different, but back then it was like because I said that to Andrew, or Andrew said that same question. I said, well, I trusted you. He goes, well, yeah, but you barely knew me. Well,
Yes.
yeah, because you told me that if I did this, this, and this would happen. And I
Right.
did this, and it happened. Like, I remember my first day in the field, I dialed some leads, and because I dialed a few, and then I went out and ran a couple. But then my first really dialed out, I didn't book a ton. I was still learning to get on the phone. I'd never done that. And I think I booked, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 over 2 days or something. Nothing great. But I did get on the phone. And I remember I sold one on that Thursday, and then that Thursday night, I ran a couple appointments, sold one. I had a couple no shows, and then the next day I ended up running 3 out of 5, I think it was. And I remember between those three, they were all America sales. I got really blessed in that way. But
Right.
I remember on Monday I had a deposit for over $9,000, dude. After that, you could have told me you were going to pay me $1 million. I wasn't leaving. Why? Because he told me that's what would happen. He told me, you run America, we get paid in 24 to 48 hours, right? He told me, you go and buy the leads, you'll run the appointment, you'll make money. And it worked. And so why, at that point it was done. Like my wife even said to me, I remember it was the next morning, and I showed her, and she goes, I can get used to that. I said, yeah, I can too. I mean, so like at that point you had me, like you showed me, like, it's just like if Ivan said, hey, if you go, I'm just saying, if Ivan said, if you go to America, I mean, because dude, you did, right? He came here and he's living the dream, dude, like the dream that he wanted to live for his family. But he had to take that step of faith, but no one could get him to go back. I mean, I'm not saying he won't go see his family. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, it's like
Yeah.
he had made that decision. He wasn't turning around. And to see what he's done, by the way, I got to give that plug. I mean, I think it's amazing what you've done. We're talking about, you're asking me to come on my call, and you're a guy that came here 8, 9 years ago, couldn't even speak the language, and what you've done is amazing, dude. So like, I remember seeing you, and I'm giving you, in 2020, and being on stage like, what? Like, seriously? This guy's making that kind of money. He works
You
really
know,
hard. I'm like,
I
dude,
have
it's
to make him
amazing.
tell that story. Whenever he tells a story, he tries to leave that out.
Yeah, well, he needs to tell it, because that's
Yeah.
big. I mean, that's big. I mean, it's just like having to learn a new language, and then having the faith to get in this business and work as hard as you had to work to get where you are. I mean, it's not, I mean, there's no luck there, dude. you created that. God put you in the right place, the right time, and you with the right people, and you took advantage of it. And that's what it is. I think that's what everyone needs to understand on this call. Do not question where you're at with FFL. This is the place to be. I said this the other day, and I'll say it 100 times over. You can look here, look there, and all these great companies, whatever, think they're great, but there's one thing that they don't have, and they don't have Sean Mike. Just remember that. They do not have Sean Mike, no matter what. No matter what comp they think they're throwing out there, or this or that, or how they fluff it up, they don't have it. They're going to be here with us eventually anyway. So I just, you're in the best place at the best time, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah. I mean, numbers don't lie.
Ivan, you were going to say something. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to thank you for saying this, Dave, and you, Wayne.
Is he breaking up on your thing, Wayne?
More than you know, I was talking to. I'm so sorry, guys. Well, you know what? I'm not going to torture y'all. I'm just going to say thank you for what you said and get out of it.
Well,
Yeah.
I love you, bro. I appreciate you. All right.
So Dave, your growth has been I guess highly touted. You set the bar, and I don't think it's anything that'll be easily duplicated. And I know we said that about a lot of things that happen at FFL, but what you did when you came in, and I understand why, because they told you and you did it. So it's not really a secret, and most people struggle with that, about hearing it and going doing it, buying the leads at the volume that you did, pouring it back in the way that you did. What do you say to an agent that you're hiring, to get them to kind of buy in the way that you did and just go buy leads? And then what do you say to somebody that wants to build also, to get them to pour it back in the way that you did? Or hell, if they do it at 50% of the volume with the level of intentionality that you did, then they're going to be light years ahead of 90% of the people that are hiring here at FFL.
Well, I think you said something there. A lot of people say, so like people say they're willing to do certain things. And I think I ask those questions. Are you teachable? Are you coachable? Those type of things. Are you willing to work hard? And I kind of explain to them what that looks like. Right. And so that we have to have that conversation. And if they are, and they're going to, because they've seen it. Right. So at this point, like they come to me and be like, me going to Andrew Taylor, like asking him a question, not applying, right? I was teachable and I was coachable. And the truth is, Wayne, you've heard me say this, I've never, ever, ever asked them something and not done what they've told me to do. Or I've never, tried to reinvent the wheel. He said, do this, I did it. I say I jump over it. So I think you got to find that person, every person. So I heard Sean say this the other day. I think I don't remember how he did. There's 25% of people are just not going to do this. They're just not. Okay. There's that 25% on that lower end that they just kind of want to work at a part-time, make a few $1,000s a week, whatever. And then you got those other two levels. The one that says they really want to build a big business, but maybe they're just not quite there yet. And then there's that other one that really will. Okay. But I think it comes down to work ethic and them just not questioning you. I think we have to be real and tell them that a Hall of Fame producer is going to spend, averages across the board, $2,000 in leads, and explain to them what that means. Now, they may not have that amount of money up front. So we got to walk them through that, but hopefully they have something, right? And whatever they have, I know that when I first started, I probably spent $1,000, $1,200 maybe. And then I amped it up really quick once I knew what that would get me, And so then I didn't ever think about it. Like I couldn't tell you the exact amount I spent every week. I just would tell you, and I'd say, hey, we need more leads. We need more leads. We need more leads. And I had multiple facets of those leads. So I hope I'm answering the question, but I just said, look, guys, I invested it back in. So if you'll just go work really hard for a period of time and you make enough money, you can just put it back into the system. So if you'll go write 30, 40K, you're going to have plenty of money because you don't need that. You're only making this now, which I wasn't. I wasn't making that kind of money. I had our budget was around 10 grand. Okay. For what I was bringing in. And then my wife was working. Okay. So that's what I kind of allocated. So there's 30 grand left over. You take out some lead costs. You know what I mean? I could get a staff started right away. And that's what we did. We came out March 15th of 2020, hired our first staff. And then we hired the next one maybe a month later. And somebody was asking me this today. And then we just and I tell them how it worked. I wrote this money and then I scaled based on most people think you got to scale different. I just scaled really fast. I just kind of did fast. We weren't growing fast enough, so I hired another recruiter. We weren't growing fast, we had another one, and to the point where we got to 5. And then it's just like, okay, well, that's enough. And I was just sitting here thinking today, it's actually 6 because we have a guy that does some contracting with like YouTube and stuff for us too. So that's kind of really, even though he's not a full-time employee, still it's another person helping us grow. So I mean, I would give more right now, but and like I'm not quite where Ivan is. He's getting close. I'm excited for you, bud. But we're working towards that. And so when you get to that spot, it's kind of watching things a little bit differently. But I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I just think that we have to just be transparent with them. And I would show I showed people like, hey, here's what I did. This is how I did it. And I was just real with them. But I was so intentional with everything, Wayne, like I'm on Zoom dials right now over here. Like I talked to him about how important to block out the dial days, right? And I also talk when it comes to leads, imagine not having gas in your car. You have to go fill the gas tank up or you'll be on the side of the road. So if you don't have leads, man, you can't drive the car. You got to have it. And that's how you look at it. You're not buying, you're investing. And the truth is, if you just do it one time really good, you should never have to do it again. So I think one of the things we can do too is get people down the phone before they even get started. What I mean by that is if I hire Wayne, hey, Wayne, yeah, I'm going through license. How quick can I make money? Well, one of the things I could do, and we've been implementing this, is I've had some guys do it and it's worked. They're like, hey, will you dial some leads for me? I'll give you a lead credit, right? So that gets them beat up. I mean, they can get on there and get beat up on the phone. The other thing is prosperity. Dude, get them a paper app. We're doing this team call Mondays or Sundays trying to help our new people, but we can get them a paper app and go make money. I mean, if Robert comes to me and says, hey man, I need to make money right away. How long is this going to take? Well, you're just started license, right? Yeah, it's in there. We're waiting on to get appointments. Okay, well, good. Look, here's a paper app, prosperity. Here's some leads. Let's go call. Whether you have some age ones or whatever, he buys them, whatever. Let's get him on the phone. We had a guy, Will Warren, who's 23 years old. And he issued paid almost 30,000 his first month. It was all prosperity, all of it. And he said he has had $50,000 in deposits his first 2.5, almost 3 months. And most of all of it was prosperity. He just got comfortable with that app. How about that? Like, I mean, he's just right, more prosperity. Now Aetna came, he got Aetna, he wrote 18,000 1 week with Aetna. So, I mean, but he didn't overthink it. I remember talking to him, and this is the biggest issue I see is one thing: people overthink everything. The ones that don't overthink are the ones that are going to win. Because think about it, guys. Some of you said, I'm just saying, you get a new agent, they're like, oh, I need all this experience. No, you don't. He said to me, he goes, well, Dave, I looked around at all these other companies that have one company, they have one product, one name, and I had one. So what was my excuse? I had to go make money for my family. So I went to work, right? But instead, we said here, oh, you got to get this one. I need you to have, and I want them to have Marico too, just like you. I'm just saying, if they can't get it within 2 days, I mean, we can get them to work and making money. The quicker, Andrew Taylor is so good at this. I'll bring somebody, hey, Ivan, like I say, hey, Ivan, or let's say Andrew, hey, Ivan, look, I got this guy, whatever. And I'm like, you know what he'll say to me? I could tell him he was a world-class leader, sold $5 million a year somewhere. And you know what he'll say to me? Is he down the phone yet? Has he got any appointments yet? Yeah, but you don't understand. He's going to bring all these people. No, but has he bought leads yet? Like, is he down on the phone yet? Yeah, but you don't understand. See, the point is, that's the thing. It's so simple. It's buying leads, dialing the phone, and showing up with your name badge saying, hey, I'm a licensed agent. I know more than you. That's it. Open up the thing, run Americo. And if that doesn't work, call out. I mean, I'm just saying, don't call it. But you know what I mean? You have mentors to help you through it. Don't overthink it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I think a lot of people, when they start hiring, they buy into that whole contracting taking too long thing and overlook the fact or discount the fact that prosperity gets somebody licensed in a day, 2 days max, if you follow the process and they follow the process, which means that, like you said, that they're teachable and they're coachable. If they're not, then they're going to sit there for 2 weeks and wait and wonder why they're not making any money and get frustrated. But it's self-induced, and that's not who you want to build with. They may turn into that person, but that's not who you want to run with now. So I mean, that's great.
That's another thing, Wayne. We put them in systems too. And if I'm working with you, I'm like, hey, can you do this in the next 40 hours? And do this. and then let me know when you do it. That's big, guys, because the ones that really do that typically end up doing the other things the same way. But if
Yeah.
they drag their feet and they don't do that, just saying, simple stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I have a guy texting me now about the $2.50 leads, asking about the age of them. And I explicitly posted a video on how to approach the leads. And I know for a fact he didn't watch it because of the questions that he's asking me. So you have to be teachable and plug into the resources. Because like you said, you were there, you plugged in. So you're not asking them to do something that you're not, and you're still there with the live dials beside you so that they see you still there. So they have no reason not to be there, or we just can't work together until you're ready to work together. So yeah, I mean, good stuff. You, man, you made me, that was great. You made me lose my train of thought. I had to, it was in regards to the one carrier and prosperity with the paper app. So you're getting them started with that, the lead structure when you start them out. Obviously, they're going out with just prosperity. What are you starting them with from a lead perspective that kind of ensures their success, that allows you to send them out with the confidence that you do, understanding that if they continue to do what you essentially guided them to do, that they're going to continue to experience the success and continue to fall forward, for lack of a better way to put it?
You know, I don't know that we've overthought it. And again, we've been talking about this for a while. And I think that certain people have done it, you know, and are getting better at it. And I think it's something we need to implement even more. But to answer your question, I think they're just getting whatever leads they have access to, right? I mean, some of them can't afford, some of them can afford some certain types of leads. Maybe they can do it, you know, just use a happy age or game time. And that might be good for a final expense side of things. But truth is, we have plenty of on the CRM. It just depends, I guess, on location, what's there, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, instance, whatever. We don't know what we're going to run into. I mean, at the end of the day, I think Will took this approach. So to teach you this way. So he took the approach of, if I ran into somebody that I couldn't get covered with it, I had an upline, right? I had somebody that could go back and see them. I would eventually get the product, whatever. And that's how the approach he took, right? So there was certain, I'm sure he ran into somebody he couldn't cover, and that's okay. And I think it just goes back to that same thing, Wayne, is just not overthinking it. So I think it's just getting, I like personally for me, and I don't know about either, but I like to have 4 or 5 different types of leads when I was dialing, once I got going. And that, because I like to be able to change from lead to lead, just because I'm just like, I'm human too. If I was dialing a bunch, I wasn't getting anywhere, I just switch to the other one, you know, and get right back. And then it would change my attitude, if that makes sense. And then I just go back and call. Not that the leads were bad or anything like that. It's just, it was a momentum thing for me. Because once I had that, you know, it just made me feel good, right? I made a good call. This person was not, whatever. And so I'm human too. And then, so I think it's being able to change. So I think it's getting a multiple types of leads, whatever on the CRM. I think age leads are great for someone, especially brand new, to start dialing right away. They're not ripping through a ton of money, and they can definitely learn and make some sales, because I mean, people sell them, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely 100%. A lead is a lead. And a lot of times an age lead, like you said before about the 250 leads, is because unless they worked at FFL, I'm just going to assume they dropped the ball. Either they didn't get to them, or they didn't give them quality coverage.
Hey, isn't it funny how you go around, like we were just in LA, dude, which by the way, and I'm not just saying this because I was there, but it was literally the most amazing meeting I've ever been to in my life.
Yeah.
2020 in February, when I saw Ivan, those guys, that changed my life clearly, because that's when he came out, was built, and you know, whatever, we were a couple months in, but this was amazing. And the training, and the one thing I got out of there is, this guy loves this lead. This guy loves this lead's really good at it. My point is, who's to say that you don't start dialing those 250 leads and you go, oh my gosh, those are the best leads ever? You know why? Because you have success at it. Because you went through the numbers. Next thing you know, it's your favorite lead in the world. How many of you had 5 favorite leads? I've had them. Oh, I love these. And then next thing you know, the next batch comes in, doesn't work out as well, but then this one does. And dude, I did that with a couple of those lead vendors last year. And then once I figured out, wait a minute, there's nothing about the leads. It's me, dude. Like, I'm not making enough calls. I'm not following up with them. I'm just not calling them enough. And once I figured that out, that's when I was like, yeah, that's true. Every lead's the same. Because I would literally stop using certain vendors. And then I'm like, wait, but then I'd use them next time. And I booked true story, Wayne. I booked 7 out of 7 or 8 in a row on Game Time, Happy Agent, 9 on more. I mean, I could go through them, but I also stopped using all 3 of those sources at one point because I was frustrated with them. Think about that. But if I wouldn't have opened my mind back up, the wait, they're just leads, dude. I mean, what's the difference? It was just my attitude.
Yeah. I mean, fall in love with the process. Never fall in love with
Love that.
Yeah, always. Process will get you there. The result is a distraction every time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could be selfish. Obviously, I have a direct line to you. So if you have time, I'd like to open it up for the next 5 or 10 minutes for a couple questions from
Yeah, sure.
the people that took the time out to join us. So unmute, ask your question. If somebody's already asking a question, just raise your hand and we'll kind
have a
of
question.
Go ahead.
I've listened to a lot of trainings and I've heard on some of your trainings that with your practice company, you did a lot of door knocking. I was wondering if you can give a little hints to like some of the success that you've had in door knocking.
Yeah, that's good. So here, obviously if they weren't there, I mean, I would certainly knock on their door. It's funny, probably the best door knock technique that I ever learned. I can tell you what I said over there. So what we did over there is we did a little bit different. We actually used wiping our feet versus taking our shoes off. Same concept, but it was a way to get in the door. And I learned this when I very first started this business years ago. I think one of the best I won't mention names on this call, but the particular company has been around since 1919. I'll say that. And the guy that started that company was just amazing. He made some amazing books and stuff. But anyway, they would just lean. They would be I always use the door as how far I wanted to be away from them. I wanted to be able to shake their hand, but not like be totally in their space, right? So if there was like a screen door and I was opening it, I would always use that as my guide and I'd put my hip up against it. This is how we did it, okay? And then when they came to the door, I would just say, hey, now here I had a lead in front of me. So I would say, hey, is this you? And just kind of go from there. But what we used to do back then was like, hey, and I would tell them who I was. And then I would basically say, hey, Wayne, do you have a place we could sit down? And when I did the sit down part, as soon as I did that, my feet, I would look down and wipe my feet at the same time and stick my hand out. So I'd say, do you have a place we could sit down? And I would just do it all in one motion. And I'd wait for their feet to back up and I would just step in the door. Okay. That's kind of a technique that you kind of learn. That's what we used to do. Now, hearing Sean, true story, I was out on a Saturday right here where I live. And I had a no-show and I was working, and we have this call we do with Andrew at 11 o'clock every Saturday. And so I took time, I set my car, I wasn't going to miss it. And I had no-shows, had some gap in there, and he was telling the story. This is true. And so he tells how he door knocked, and I literally used it at like 11:30 after I got off the call, and it worked. And here's what he did. He has the lead and he writes on it. See how it says 1 p.m. I had this over here. I don't know why. This must have been meant for you guys. This has been sitting on my desk for weeks. No kidding. It says 1:30. Oh, 1 o'clock. So anyway, but like say whatever time it is, say it's within 15 minutes or so, he would just walk up the door and say, hey, is this you? And see what's real big. You want to write it really big. So all they see is that. Like they see their name and the time, right? And he would just say, is this you? And they're like, yeah. And I went and I said, well, this is the time I've scheduled to see you. You mind if I sit down? And I just mind if I step in? And I just shuffled my feet and went in. And it was her daughter. And she said, what's my daughter? So let me get her real quick. I said, okay. So she came in. I said, do you mind if I come on in? That's all I did. Because I'm used to doing that because I came from that way is if you invite yourself in the proper way, they'll let you in. You mind if I come on in? And you're respectful. You look, you look kind of professional. You know what I mean? You don't want to look like, you just got out of the dumpster. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? This is a professional. And they're going to let you in because you're smiling and you're having fun. And you walk in, and once you're in the door, you're in, right? And I just looked there. Is that you? She's like, yeah. She goes, I remember filling out, but I don't remember getting a phone call. And I just said, well, I don't know either. Maybe we schedule these things all the time. But this is the time I scheduled to see her. You know when I scheduled to see her? When I was in my car. I mean, I'm not lying to her. It's true. I wanted to see her. She didn't answer the phone. So I said, hey, do you mind if we sit down over here? And I sold her America. So the point is, when I did it again and again, I've done it 4 or 5 times. Now, when I went to another lady's house, she wouldn't open the door because of her dog was barking. I said, well, hey, I had scheduled to see you. And there was like a peephole. And I said, I had this. And she opened the door long enough to see her name. And she goes, let me put the dog up. I sold her. I mean, so there's something about that form and then putting the time around the time you're there to see them, that's the time you schedule. Because remember, they filled out forms. They might have filled out more 1 or 2. Plus, they've also got their phone ringing. They just didn't answer the phone. So there's your appointment. Does that help you any?
100%. Thank you.
then I would just use it like you're meant to be there. Does that make sense? Like I'm meant to see
Right.
you. I'm here to help you. Shuffle your feet, be respectful. Dude, when I go to a door, like I used to teach my old company, like people would have trouble getting the door. And I worked with this lady one time. I said, what's your, and so we went out and it started pouring down rain. I said, let me show you how to get in this door. I took my book, I put it over my head, knocked on the door. They opened the door. I said, hey, do you mind if I step in? It's raining down here. I went in every door, boom, 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 boom. I said, what are you doing? You're sitting there trying to get a spiel. They don't care about that. I want to be dry.
Mhm.
When it was cold, I asked for heaters. When it was hot, I asked for air conditioner. I'd say, hey, Wayne, it's freaking hot out here, man. Do you mind if I come in? I'm sweating my tail off out here. It's cold. They didn't even know why I was there, dude. Like people will let you in. You remember Sean talked about he'd end up in an apartment where the lead wasn't even his lead. He'd lay it out there and go, oh, that's the neighbors. I'm sorry. He wasn't even knocking on the door. He didn't have a lead on him. He was just selling insurance. We just overthink stuff.
Mhm.
So anyway.
Mhm. No, that helps. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Dave? Not, I'll let him get back to it. I know he's busy.
I got another one. Your agency exploded. I follow you. You're always up at a certain time. You have a very tight schedule. Can you talk a little bit about how you kind of schedule yourself throughout your week, how far ahead you plan on your days, and how strict you are with that schedule?
You know, I think you got to be versatile with your schedule. I mean, there's certain meetings you're going to have or calls like these that we commit to. We're going to be on those. If I'm in the office, it might be look different than others and have meetings. But I think we have to be flexible at where we're at now. But I am very disciplined about my morning routine and making sure I'm waking up at a certain time. It's preparing the day before. I go through this in mind every day. Last night I was getting ready for bed, laying out my clothes, making sure my workout gear is ready, making sure my clothes for what I was going to wear today, my hat. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but setting the stack. And I'm not like overly organized person, but when it comes to certain things, it just keeps me moving because I hate being slow at anything. And so having my bag ready to go, having this ready to go, everything's ready to go. So when I fall asleep and wake up, whenever that is, I know I'm ready to go. I don't have to think about all those things that slow me down. So routine is important. But as far as the schedule goes, I mean, I think in the beginning it was, where like if you're just building the agency, you're just kind of starting. For me, up until November last year when I came out of the field, it was Monday was it was blocked out. Protect your dial day. That's the most important thing for me that I learned is you had to be sacred about that. No one messes with your dial day. I'm there at 7:30 all the time. I still get on it at 7:30 out of habit, truth. Now there are sometimes I'm on a plane, I can or whatever, but I was on it this morning and I'll just say hi to the guys and whatever, and they're doing their thing. But it was 7:30, and I dial. And then I have calls like this scheduled in between. As soon as I get off here, well, my next call's at 2 because I actually already did my leadership call at 1:30 is pre-recorded. And by the way, that's something I've had to kind of implement in my schedule. And recently, because sometimes I'm traveling, but I still want to get that out there. And I asked Sean, what should I do? So we'll do that. That's okay. So we have that, but I had those things in line. So Mondays and Thursdays can be the busier days just because of the meetings and stuff we have. Then the other ones just come to travel. Like where do I want to go? If I want to go to, Charlotte, which we have an office, which is 3.5 hours from me now, and have that scheduled out. We're doing lots of podcasts now. So having that scheduled out. I don't know if that answers your question, but if you're beginning to build a business, and I don't know what level you're at, but I'm just saying like the first year, okay. Protecting those dial days. And then at this time in the afternoon, after this call, if I had nothing else going on, I'd be recruiting. That's what I did. Recruit on Mondays and Thursdays, dialing myself until I hired somebody to help me recruit. And then when I was running, I did the same thing. I would, again, get out there as early as I could, work as late as I could. But when I was in the field, I was in the field. And I might take a call from a recruit or call somebody in between or whatever the case may be. But I just went to work. I mean, and usually when I was in the field, I didn't eat lunch. I didn't stop much. I grab some pork rinds and water and then just keep going, But if I had time to sit at lunch and do something, it would be pulling, out in the car. Or if I did actually want to eat something, that would make sure it was productive, either calling a recruiter or set up more appointments. I think that's what you got to do until you get to a point where you can hire staff to do it. You know what I mean? And I think if you're writing 20, 25, 30K and don't have staff, here's the thing. If you're at 20, 25K and want to get to 30, 40, hire staff and you'll be there. Why? Because you're going to free up enough time to get there because it's stuff that you don't like to do. Like you don't like to do like, call the carriers. That's terrible. Like, I mean, it takes too much of your time. It's not making you money. The quicker you could spend why would you not spend $500-600 a week to pay somebody to do that when it's going to make you another 4,000 or 5,000 a week? See, that's how I thought in the beginning. And so then I thought, well, if I hire another one, then I can grow this much faster. I can do this much more. And so that's how I started looking at staff, where a lot of people don't look at it that way. They look at it like, oh, I have to spend this much money. No, it freed me up to make more money. See, that's what staff does for you. And so now it's just, can I hire 10 more? Why? Because then I could 10x recruiting. You know what I mean? So that's how I always looked at it. Did that help you?
Good stuff. Thank you. It did. Thank you.
Here, help me.
Hey, Wayne, you're awesome.
Anybody else have any questions?
I have one question, Dave. Thank you for taking the time. So you started recruiting immediately, right? Because obviously you had the experience from previous companies and whatnot as far as growth goes. How do you manage, having 20, 30, 40 and growing from there? Obviously you're hiring, you have admin people, but obviously you have a lot of people that are going to be wanting to talk to you, that are wanting to get it get the information from the horse's mouth, right? How were you able to manage all those people trying to get a hold of you, and you trying to grow and write business and hire and recruit and all that? If that makes sense.
Question. Yeah, it's a great question. I think it comes down to your structure. I mean, you got to realize you're not looking for 20 directs. You're looking for 3 or 4. And so if I have you and Robert and it's hard to see these names. Yeah, you and Robert, and you, Robert, Ivan, or you, Robert, Ivan, and Wayne. Then I'm only really working with those people, especially if they're the leaders. Like they're out riding, they're doing the things that you want. Because if you have 20, you've probably got 2 or 3 that you can see. Hey, they're builders. They want to grow, and hopefully I think that this is just my opinion, but the frontline guy, what I heard from Sean was they didn't have to be a rock star, necessarily, but you had to trust them, right? Why? It's because of that, right? I'm just saying, being real, we want to make sure that they're running a business and they have our best interests. I think that's the most important thing I look at. And so my front line, I felt good about that. And then I just kept stacking them because they were working. There's some of those guys I could have took direct, and some of them I did, and then moved them later on because I would have that conversation with them, and they say they're ready to work, and they say they're ready to work at the level I want them to work. But here's the thing, I'm not going to give my time to I don't have enough time to babysit them. So then I would move them and I would give them to somebody else that have more time, and I would have the right conversations. But I would say that to you in the beginning, dude, I'm fine taking you personally, for example. I had that happen now. I said, but here's the thing, if it doesn't work out, like you're just not, I need your family to make money. That's why you're here. If that's okay, I'm giving you this, but I'm going to move you here or move you here and put you with someone else that can help you. And so I think now I don't talk to but a handful of people. And those people are people that have grown businesses that, and here's the truth is they don't call me as much as they used to because they've learned so much through the process, and I've taken my hands off and empowered them. So I think that's one thing we got to do better at is empower people quickly. And quickly, that's a bad word. Be quicker at empowering people. Okay. So if you hire someone and they start doing certain things, let them do those things, and just guide them. I think that's what we got to be better at. I think I got to be better at it. Saying Jorge, do you go by Jorge? Am I saying that right? Or is it George? George?
I go by either, but
okay, whatever. As long as you don't call him late for dinner, right? Yeah, I'm just making sure I don't. No. So, but like for example, when someone calls you and says, "Hey, where do I find this?" Like I would say, "Hey, let me show you." It's okay to show them one time, but it's also better to say, "Hey, I'm going to show you this, so I never have to show you again. This is where it is." Okay. Or, "Hey, how do I do this?" Okay, listen, this is how it happens, but I want you to understand this is the last time we need to have this conversation because now you know it, right? So I want to empower them to do that so they can do that to their people. And I think that's what we've done a fairly good job of, is whether it be on our team Zooms, the smaller Zooms, the trainings, or whatever, is really getting people to empower themselves. And so we have like we have a Zoom right now. We'll have one at, here at, I don't know, at 2, we'll probably have, we usually have over 100, we're probably 132 people or something like that. But when we go to some of the teams, and I remember starting with 6, 7, or 8. And so I had got, like, my son-in-law, he just started doing a Zoom. I was talking to him one day on the phone. I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm doing a team Zoom." He had like 5 people. I'm like, "Oh, well, that's cool." But what I realized is he was watching what I was doing. And he's like, "Wait, that's what I'm supposed to do." Right. And so he was buying leads almost to a detriment sometimes, like too many leads to get these people started, because he saw me invest in him. Like, but he was working, like he was writing 30K. So it was okay to get him started. I knew he needed to work. So I think it's really just figuring out the ones that really are listening to you and helping them grow the fastest. Right. Because some of them are.
And if they're not, then just disconnect from that. If they're
I
not
think you
plugging
just
in
gotta,
and all that.
you just got to love on them, man, and just hope that they make it. But it's, at the end of the day, if you want to grow at the rate you want to grow it, it wouldn't have worked for us if I would have wasted my time on people that were not producing. I have a guy, I'll give you a story. I have a guy, true story, he was personal to me. I treated him with kindness. I answered his phone call. "Hey, man, I got you, but I'm, kind of busy right now, but is there something you need?" "No." "Great." And then I'd have him call my assistant. I'm just saying, from that point on, every now and then he'd call me, but I answered his phone. I was respectful, but I also had to tell him, "Look, I'm really busy, dude, getting something done." He was with Aflac. Okay. Long story short, a year goes by, 1 year. And I show up at a meeting, true story. He's sitting in the front row with 6 people. Now he's got my attention. Like, now you're real. And now he's got an office in Boca. How about that? I didn't give up on him, but it just, well, he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to make that move. But it's so funny. He was in the business and watching us grow. And he's like, "Wait a minute, this thing really does work." "Yeah, dude." Like, but it's okay. It just wasn't his time. I wasn't disrespectful, but I also let him know in my own way that, "Dude, I'm really busy. I want to help you, but you gotta move. You gotta start doing some of these things, or I can't spend that time with you." You know what I mean? So I think you just got to figure it out. I mean, every business is different. I think in the beginning, when you only have a handful of people, it's okay to do that a little bit. But once you start working with 1 or 2 or 3 that really, really get it, it's kind of hard to work with the ones that just won't listen. He brought up something early about the calls. I mean, Andrew would say this all the time, and people would call him up and ask him a question like, "Dude, we just covered that on the call. Where were you?" Like, if they can't get on a call, if they're not on this call right now, they better have a really good reason. Like, otherwise, they're probably not somebody you need to work with all the time. I'm saying Ivan's call, dude, seriously. Andrew has a call, dude, I'm on it. To this day, I have never missed a call except for where I couldn't. I mean, I was on a plane or something. That's it. I've never, ever, ever, ever missed a call that he's done. Ever one for Sean. Dude, Ivan, on Saturday 11, dude, we have a call with FFL USA. You can ask my wife. My wife says, "Dude, you think he's getting married. Like, he is not going to be late for the altar." I mean, she already knows. Like, I have a call every Saturday. So I think that's what you're looking for. Zoom on at 2:00 on Thursday, dude. If they're not on my Zooms, man, come on. Don't call me and ask for my help if you can't even we're just asking you to grow the business. But, do the boot camp. We do that. Like, I always hold them to that. You're looking for people that are doing those things. Do you have boot camp? Do you guys do that? So if they don't do that, I tell them that right up front, "Dude, I'm not working with you to do that." Why? Because it eliminates all those 80 questions I got to ask you. Then they have 2, and that's good.
Good questions too.
Yeah. Hopefully that helps, guys, man. Look, here's the thing.
Thanks, Dave.
Full of life, full of energy, love people. That's it. And that's kind of what I like to do. Ivan loves you guys, man. I've been around him, man. I've been around Wayne. I mean, how could you not? I mean, I know whose team you're on here, but I just look at this team and I know why you guys are growing at the rate you're growing, because you got great leadership. So, but it's funny. I saw you 2 on this page. I was like, I saw both you guys that answered the questions. So those guys, I could just tell. And I'm not just saying that because I could see you guys on there. You were intently listening to the call. And it doesn't surprise me you guys answered the question. Not that others wasn't going to. It's just I saw you 2 early on. So
Very good, man.
I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for having me on.
No, man, I appreciate you. Thanks for joining us, and your time I know is valuable because I mean, like you said, I know you and I see the agency, so I appreciate you jumping on. If you could just kind of leave us with parting shots as we transition into summer months where people tend to come up with different type of excuses for not scheduling appointments or not going to work. You could just leave us with the parting shot to get us through the summer. I'd appreciate it.
Well, we could use that on our team. I think warm weather gives people excuses to do that, try to take time off. So here's the deal, guys. If you want to build this business and you want to build a big age, especially integrity, I'm just saying, and maybe that's not maybe you don't, maybe that's not something you want to sell your agency or whatever. But if that's even in your remote possibility, then don't take vacation. Okay. Be very intent with the time that you do take off. If you do take 2 or 3, that's fine, but just watch what you're doing. Be very purposeful. And I think that people are going to do what they're going to do, but ultimately it's really your decision. You can make a decision right now in June and be at $1 million by the end of this year, okay, or get yourself definitely in a position by that, but just not taking all that time off, and so you can take off the rest of your life. What I mean by is have those decisions you can make the rest of your life. And I didn't, my family we have 2 things we do every single year, and I'm just being transparent as I can be. Like, I did those things, but I worked more those 2 weeks last year than 99% of people work with. I promise you guys, my family. I was still up at 5:30, maybe not up at 4 all those weeks. I was on more Zooms, more phone calls. Dude, I wouldn't have got to where we are if I'd have took a week off. Like, I can't even think of a day I've taken off much. I mean, I just had it the whole year. I just don't see, because a day off for me, Ivan, looks like this. I'm with my wife and I have my phone. That's a day off. Like, it's right here. I'm still working 12, 14 hours. I mean, like 18-hour days. And so because I'm engaged with what we're doing, I love what I'm doing so much, and I think once you get that in your heart and understand what you do matters so much, what else would you do? Go somewhere with your family and still work. I've got some guys getting that way. He told me he's got to go. This is his kid's baseball term, which I get it, dude. He's a senior. It's the last time he may get to see him. I understand. But to see him change over the last few months he wasn't quite here last summer. He came in the fall, but he just called me the other day and said, "Hey man, we're going to be in Florida." And I'm thinking, oh gosh, here we go again. And he's like, for this big tournament, he goes, "But you know what? I just bought X, Y, and leads. I've got 3 days run planned of the 4 days we're going to be there, but I'm going to watch his games." See, now that's different. Like, he gets it. He understands. And he's not going to put it all over social media. He gets that. That's not smart. But he can, now he's doing a running trip. It's not a baseball trip. You see what I mean? He's going to go make himself 7, 8, 10 grand. He's working. He still stays engaged with teams. I know who he is. And he learned, by the way, this same person at the end of last year went on a hunting trip, and we had a conversation. He asked me about it. Well, I've been doing it 20, however many years it was. I don't know. I said, well, dude, it's your decision ultimately. But I'm cautioning you it could hurt you. And you know what happened to him, Ivan? He went on it a week. He came back. He got COVID. He was out 2 weeks. And he went from almost the VP, and it took him 3 months to recover. Now he's well into SVP and almost EVP, but he probably would be well past EVP now if that wouldn't have happened. So that's my parting shot to you. Be smart, talk to Wayne, talk to Ivan, and tell them what's going on. Maybe they can give you some advice the best they can, but ultimately it's your decision. You can sacrifice a few things now so you can have a lot later. And if you just want to go make 100 grand a year, then go do that. But the weekends are amazing, dude. And Andrew talks about it best. He could work half a Saturday or half a Sunday, and he still had plenty of time with his family. And that's so true. So go make your money and take care of it. If you just submit 10 grand a week, you'll take care of everything. Just do that every week.
Yeah.